For the fourth time, the United States of America are crowned champions of the world, and for the very first time they've done it on European soil. It is finished at the Stade de Lyon in the final in victory and joy for the United States.
It is a huge win for us, for women's sports, for women. The justice comes in the next generation, never having to go through what we went through. It's equal pay across the board from here on out.
You were listening to Give and Go
with Sam Carey
and Rohtas Wadera, only on Girls Soccer Network. Hello and welcome. You are listening to episode 85 of Give and Go. I am your host, Rohtas Wadera, joined by my lovely co-host, Sam Angel. Sam, how are you doing today?
Doing fantastic. I'm so happy to be back here. It's December. It's almost Christmas. It's off season, which it's just a different kind of chaos, I think, than normal season. It's not off, let's be real. So yeah, that is it. How are you? How's everything with the holidays?
It's good. It's good. I flew back from LA to New York, and to be quite honest with you, I actually wanted the cold. It's been like 80 degrees in LA in December, and I kind of miss winter. I miss the cold. I miss snow. So it is great to be back here in New York where there's actually snow on the ground. I am staying with my parents, so I figured the best indicator of that is seeing this old photo of me that's just chilling on my parents' desk. Like, this is just here. So,
Incredible.
so just to let you know where I'm at. But yeah, just so happy to be home for the holidays, just like you are. So yeah, Sam, tell me about how the off season has started for you so far, because like you said, it doesn't sound like it's slowing down at all.
You know, me versus ask the average person, it might be different. I believe I probably had a very unique start to my off season. And so the way that Chicago did it was once our season ended, we had basically 2 weeks or 1 week of mandatory practice, and then we had optional practices for 2 weeks before we all went away. So my plan was to stay through that full optional time, get the training in, everything. Well, day one of optional training, as the way things go, I broke my nose in 4 pieces. Classic, just, of course I did. I was defending my good buddy Cameron Bigelski back to goal, and she went and turned her head and just went straight into my nose, and it was awful and disgusting. So had to go get nose surgery. So I had to go get surgery for it and everything, and then rocked Thanksgiving with a nice little nose cast going on. So that was the first little bit of chaos. My other favorite thing that I am now forever bragging about is yesterday on Instagram, the Stars Instagram account kind of posted a little update, off season with the Stars. This is what our girls are up to. And then, it's pictures of Julia Grosso getting engaged and Hannah Anderson getting engaged, and all the girls on their fun travels, Mana back in Japan. And then the front cover, for whatever reason, was the fact that I got a dog.
Oh
and
my
so
God.
I was I love that my new puppy outlived everyone's travels and getting engaged, and is the cover, and my dog got hard launched on the Chicago Stars Instagram. I
That's
also don't know
amazing.
where they got that picture of me and my dog. I'm a little that was caught me off guard. I'm I didn't text you that. So yeah, that is my update. I got a dog and I have a broken nose, and here we are.
Oh my God. Okay, more info on the dog, please. And
Let
what?
me real quick. Let's see if I can do this.
Yes.
Yeah. This is Petunia.
Oh my God. Hi, Petunia.
Petunia is a 6-pound Dorky. She's a Dachshund Yorkie mix.
Oh my God.
And the new love of my life.
She is adorable. Oh my God. I'm so glad for you guys. Wow, that's amazing. So I'm sure you're out taking her out everywhere, out and about.
Oh yeah, she has
Yeah.
a big city girl.
One other thing I wanted to ask you, actually, let me get into the rundown first, and then I'm going to ask you
Yeah.
what I wanted to about your practices. Some things today, guys, to keep in mind. We're definitely going to be talking about the NWSL, everything that's been going on with Trinity's contract situation, Sophia Smith, Minch Purse, free agency. There's so much going on. And then, of course, we're going to get to Europe as well, talking about the Champions League and all that great stuff. We also have a special interview with Reyna Reyes of the Portland Thorns, so definitely stay tuned for that as well. All right, going back to you, Sam. One of the things that you talked about practices is summer mandatory, summer optional. So I definitely was curious as to how much of the team was there for the optional practices. Is it like some of the stars are kind of like, I don't have to, so I'm not there, or is it every majority of the team was there?
Way to bust that bubble was one of the first persons in the facility every day was listening.
There you
So I
go.
think that says a lot right there. Honestly, I think it truly was. I was really happy with the idea that like optional training was optional. You know, like we all have that like saying in soccer, like optional. And it did truly feel optional of what your body needed. Like I think there are some people that were like, I need to shut down or I need to go home. Like, let's be real. Some of our internationals, they don't get to go home over the summer break. It's too
Mhm.
short. So if you're someone that lives overseas, you want to maximize your off season, you want to go home and you get out. Like, absolutely. So I think it truly was an indication of like what your body needs. And that's what off season is. And that's the hardest thing, honestly, to navigate as a pro. Everyone does off season different. You know, some people, I would say myself, are like, balls to the walls, let's go. We're following the fitness packet. We're training. Like, I mean, I was probably at a facility for 3 hours today between running, lifting, and training. That's pretty normal for
Jeez.
me in off season. Other people are like, my body needs a break. I've seen multiple pros post that the first time they've touched a ball since their season ended was this week. I think
Mhm.
everyone does it differently. Also resources, you know, like I am forever jealous of Florida and California girlies right now who can get on a field. A lot of times I'm having to run on a treadmill. I'm in Chicago, it's snowing, you know, so it's so different. And I think once your season ends, like it truly is that mentality of how am I going to be at my best come preseason. So it's different for everyone. It's really unique.
That's so cool. Yeah, I guess I never thought of it like that because you always are, everyone kind of just assumes the off season is like everyone's not doing a single thing, but it really is like you have to maintain.
Not that. Well, and then even like you have a balance for me. I'm in Chicago right now because my husband works in Chicago. So, but a lot of girls go to their hometown. So, for example, honestly, I was at training, I was at a facility today, and it was myself, Cameron Bigalski, Kate DeFalva, Tatum Milazno, and Kayla Sharples. Those are and
Oh,
Nadia Gomes. So those are six girls that are just in Chicago right now. So we're like, let's train. And so like it is a really cool experience. Like that was my first time actually meeting Kayla Sharples, you know, and like getting like these girls from different areas, different backgrounds, different teams, and like truly getting to like actually know them as people. It's really, really cool.
okay. Same getting to network a little bit in the NWSL. Okay, I love it. I love it. Speaking of, I would love to know, as you get to know more players in the league and get a better sense of the league, what is going on with this Trinity Rodman situation because it has been drama from the very beginning. Would love to know what your thoughts are, and I think more news just came out recently, like within the hour or so. So please have at it.
Absolutely. I believe I saw within the hour the NWSL Players Association has officially rejected the board of governors of like having this specialty players cap due to like the nuances that it could create and certain players getting access to certain pools over other players. And so their suggestion is to raise the salary cap by 1 million. You know, it's so interesting. And honestly, I don't want to be like, I don't have an opinion. I just don't honestly know how educated I am. I do think you look at the rest of the world, and if we're as an NWSL going to compete with the rest of the world, the salary cap is something that is an issue. There's no salary cap in Europe, let's be real. And we're at how lucky are we in some regard to be at a point where we're having this conversation? Because years ago, we're not having this conversation.
Mhm.
I also do think one of the reasons the league is as competitive head to toe as it is factors like a salary cap that are evenly distribute funds a bit more, or you could say talent or whatever, however you want to say that. You know, at the end of
Mhm.
the day, it's hard to say, but you have certain investors that are willing to pour in so much. And of course, the dream is everyone's just willing to pour in so much money. But is that a reality? And simply eliminating a salary cap might create more disparity, which is one thing the league prides itself on.
Mhm.
So it's really a toss up. I do think increasing a salary cap could be a great move because then there's more flexibility within that. I think
Mhm.
you do want to keep players like Trinity in the league 100%, and it's a hard line to walk.
Yeah, it's been an absolute mess from like the very beginning, and I totally agree with everything you just said about maintaining that parity, and of course, I think for some of our listeners, I what essentially happened was the Spirit tried to backload the last 2 years of her contract so that it could open up more funds initially for them to keep players, move things around, and so that they wouldn't have to pay as much up front. And I think the commissioner, Jessica Berman, kind of use that as a way to say this is not within the rules. This is impacting the integrity of the contract or whatever. Basically, she almost got herself fired within a week because the entire women's soccer world was like, you better get this fixed. Like if we lose Trinity Rodman because of you, there is going to be hell to pay. And so within the next week after that, then they say, okay, we're gonna make some changes and we're gonna try and fix it. That's when they submitted this proposal to the NWSLPA, and the NWSLPA has now come back and rejected it. So that is where we stand right now. And if you're Trinity Rodman, like you're just, all you could do is just get ready, right? You can't even think about this situation and how, like, where is she going to end up playing her football? We have no idea. And the CBA, like, and this is the one thing that the listeners need to understand is like, if this relationship does not improve, like a lockout at some point down the line is always something that you need to be mindful of, and that's the last thing that we want. So the league really needs to step it up and actually listen to the PA and honor the CBA. I don't even think they know what a CBA is, a collective bargaining agreement to where both sides, the players, the owners, the teams come together and agree on how to share the revenue. That's literally what it is. And it seems like the league has completely disregarded it. So it's just like the incompetence. It's like the players have their stuff together. The players have always had their stuff together. It's the league that does not still. And it's like it's got to match. The commissioner in the front office of the league has to match what the players are doing, and that's not happening right now.
So like understand that the CBA and the salary cap that got approved, that was before we started seeing $1 million transfers and $1 million signings. And let's be real, even if you just want to talk about the economy, the soccer economy has changed. And so when we don't have that flexibility to change with it, you're going to get situations where you can no longer afford, like, Trinity should be getting paid as much as she should. Absolutely. She is that talented of a player. She is worth that money. No question. So you're limiting yourself by not having a way to adapt with the growing economy of women's soccer.
Yeah, yeah, and that definitely can be tough on the league for having to adjust that quickly. But I mean, that is the business that we're in. This is what it's about. Everyone can see how women's soccer is in the mainstream now, at the forefront. People know the teams. Every final is on national TV. Like every big event, like we got Women's Champions League now on Paramount Plus, so now we have access to that. So it's like we have access to so much more different leagues and different things from around the world. So it's like the NWSL they cannot fall behind. They cannot fall behind. And one bit of good news, I think, or two bits of good news is that Sophia Smith and Midge Purce are both electing to stay with their respective teams. So Rodman we don't know, but at least we know about Sophia Wilson and Midge Purce.
Yeah, I think these are two great signings. I really do. Especially, you look at Sophia Smith, she's the first, I believe it was $1 million like extension or however option, however you want to phrase that. I think that's obviously fantastic for a player like her. And for her, in my opinion, it makes sense. She's made her name in Portland. She's been in Portland. Like she's had her kid. They've supported her through that. And so obviously I think any team would love to have Sophia Wilson on their team, but for her to be able to stay in that home environment and like be where she's been and where she's been an MVP, where she's contributed, I think it's a great decision. And I think it's really exciting to show that, yes, we have talent going to Europe. And I think that's a fantastic thing for the players that want that, whether that be Alyssa Thompson, Naomi Girma, all these things. But we also have talent electing to stay at home. And I think it also says something like what we were having a conversation around this time last year about like what is going on in Gotham and like the craziness of the culture. And then obviously they took that and they won a championship. So that's on us, I guess, or whatever it may be. So I think it does say something a lot that you're having big name free agents that, have the likelihood, I'm assuming, of options to sign elsewhere, and they're electing to stay where they're at. And I think that's a lot about those clubs and those organizations.
Yeah, and I think Sophia's loyalty to Portland, and I think she understands the situation that she's in, that she has. And I mean, you're a league MVP, you're in a city that's that close to Nike. You have, you're essentially the best player, one of the best players in the league, if not the best player. Like, why would you leave when everyone loves you? Like, there's really no, and you had just had a kid, and your husband's playing professional football. So it's like, what? Yeah, she does not want to be away from her family, I'm sure. And then on the Midge Purse front, uh, yeah, I'm actually surprised to an extent because going back to the off-season, reality TV show they did 2 years ago and how rocky it was, and she wasn't sure if she was gonna come back. She comes back, they win the title, and you would have thought, okay, maybe she moves on for something else. But apparently, according to her, she said based on the interest that she got, Gotham was the only one that still made her feel the most welcome, the most like a winner. So, that's a huge, huge, re-signing for Gotham because that group it's an older group per se, and you weren't sure how many of them are going to stay together. But if Midge is coming back, then you'd have to think that a lot of them are going to come back and they're going to bring this core back to try and repeat again, which again is insane. But who is the coach going to be? Right? That is a whole nother ball game. You need the right coach to be able to lead the players, and that's what makes it interesting is with Amoros is what how is he going to handle the situation essentially with these new players.
I mean, this is the blessing and the craziness of free agency, right? Like, we're talking about a world post draft, we're talking about a world post expansion draft, all of these things with free agency, you get the chaos of it. And it's one of those things that I feel like you're checking your social media every day, seeing new signings, different things. And, that's like the hard thing is with off season, I feel like pro players, like we all kind of just go into our bubble, back into our own world to avoid the craziness. But it's like you can't even picture like what teams are going to work where, how these are going to work because there's just so much in the air right now and it is crazy. But I do agree. I think a veteran like Purse re-signing shows her faith in Gotham, and you have a lot of other, impact players, in Gotham that are up for grabs. And I think it shows where at least some of them are leaning potentially.
And I definitely want to get to the rest of free agency as well because there's a lot of big names. Someone you actually just mentioned in Cameron Bogolski, who we'll get to in a second. But I definitely wanted to ask you about two nice moves by Chicago, getting Brianna Pinto and Katie Lund, two really good players.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. And then also the signing of free agent Ryan Garris, I think is a great one. When I saw Garris was leaving Houston, immediately I looked at that. I was like, oh, she's coming to Chicago, right? Because she's from Chicago. She has her son. I've played with Garris in a summer league team. I'm super excited to get back together with her. I was originally drafted to Louisville, so I spent a couple months with Lund. And I've just watched Brianna Pinto be the star that she has in the league, and I think it is a great move. I see the team that Chicago's trying to build, and I think that there's a lot of ways those three pieces can really fit into our puzzle, which is really, really exciting. One of the biggest free agent that caught my eye, and of course, I had some insider knowing that this was going to happen, is I'm really excited for Ali Schlegel. Of course, I will miss her in Chicago, and it breaks my heart that she won't be at training every single day, bringing the energy that she brings. But I think the move to North Carolina could be a really good move for her. I think it's a different style of soccer. I think it'll put her in different positions, but it's kind of funny to me. I almost feel like we did a 10-10 swap with Schlegel out, but Pinto coming in. So I
Mm.
think that was an interesting transaction, but I think it's a good move for both players.
Agreed. Yeah, I think Schlegel, and I think it's just the way that the Courage seem to be focusing on younger talent right now between Matsukubo and Riley Jackson and those types of players within their team, and so you go get another young piece in Ali Schlegel who can develop a little bit more, and hopefully, I mean, she's shown that she can score goals, and I think given the right situation and the right surrounding pieces, like she's got an opportunity to get five or more next year in that team. So I definitely love that. And yeah, Brianna Pinto, I think is criminally underrated and is kind of not talked about. I think she just had a hard time finding a home and finding a coach that really, sees her value and wants to make her an integral part of the team. So hopefully she finds that in Chicago. I think another signing that definitely caught my eye was Haley Mace to Orlando. I think her versatility and but whether it's defensively or in the midfield. I think she's played more as a defender. I think just to bolster Orlando's back line, I think is huge. Like that's a player that's been a part of these last few years for the Kansas City Current. She's been playing in teams with tremendous players, so I think this is going to be a great fit for her. Whether she starts or not, I'm not entirely sure, but to have another defender like that in the rotation is huge for the depth of the squad.
Absolutely. I feel like, defensively, Orlando has been solid. However, they've had injuries that have really hurt them. When Raphael was injured for a while, or, you've had the turnaround. You have like Pickett, who now is on her way out. Carson Pickett, she's announced she's leaving Orlando. So I think there is a gap for Mace to fill. And I think it is a really, it's an exciting move. It's, you could argue like top team to top team. And so I think, for her, it probably is just a new environment, new exciting opportunity. I think it's a cool move for Orlando to really, like you said, bolster their back line.
And I think lastly, Madison Hammond, sad to see her leave LA. She was a part of the team for a few years and really was a really solid midfielder and did whatever the team asked of her. She, I believe, is going back to Utah. I want to say she had a stint there. I have to double check that, but she's headed to Utah, and I think that's a place where she's going to get a lot more playing time. So that's great for her. I think one of the other things that really intrigued me though is as a part of free agency is the players that have been signed to the expansion teams. Boston and Denver. Got to give a lot of credit to, their front office right now for bringing in some of these players who are known players and have played in the league before. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you can see the team that they're trying to build. It's kind of funny. I feel like the rumors going around for a while was like not that Boston had it together earlier, but that, Boston seemed to have a couple where the pieces at least publicly announced, those watching on social media or whatever. But I feel like Denver's really come in with the free agency signings. We have seen girls signing to Boston. You have Chloe Ricketts, you have Casey Murphy, you have a couple other ones. However, I think Denver right now, Kaylee Kurtz, I think is a huge signing. The way that she has been for North Carolina year after year, consistency after consistency. I think that's a huge signing to really immediately bring in Denver. Allie Watt, you have your hometown kid, your first signing, dynamic forward. And then, I think Abby Smith, when she really came in for Jane Campbell after Jane Campbell was injured for a couple games in Houston, showed that she can compete for a number one spot as a keeper. I'm of course biased to Cameron Biegalski because I played with her, but I think she's a fantastic and very underrated outside back as well in the league. And so I think you can really see what Denver is trying to create and how. I think the interesting thing is, and the hardest part with an expansion team is of course you're announcing your free agents right now, but to my knowledge, Denver hasn't really signed a ton of international talent or people from overseas. And to be fair, there likely is deals that have happened, but those seasons might just be wrapping up. They're not publicly announced. We're in that kind of limbo land. So that's where I'm really going to be curious to see what happens. Whereas I feel like Boston is a bit more they're bringing in a coach from Benfica from Portugal. I feel like they've been a little bit more tapped into that international market and not as focused as NWSL free agents. So you can kind of see two different tactics. And that's what's bound to happen when there's no expansion draft. You can't just go and you pick the players and do how we used to do. And so you have to build your own team. And I feel like we have two teams with two different strategies, and it'll be really interesting to see which one pays off.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're spot on, Sam. And I think it was a very interesting point that you bring up about how Denver really went to work, like Boston was almost more public with their signings and made sure that everyone knew versus Denver kind of flew under the radar. I kind of researched it and I was like, oh dang, like I had no idea they'd signed Abby Smith and Megan Reed. I knew about Kurtz, knew about Watt and Bogolski, but yeah, I think Denver is building something like you said. I think Boston, I am excited about Annie Carriage and what she is going to bring because she was a highly, highly touted collegiate player at Santa Clara and I think went to Liga MX and played for Club America, played in Europe, and kind of didn't come into the NWSL right away. And so now I'm fairly certain it was either her or Murphy who was the first signing. So uh, this is like a big, big spot for her to be able to be one of the centerpieces of the team. And we actually finally get to see what it's going to be like. So I'm excited for that. And then Barbara Oliveri, the Venezuelan, had a brief stint in Houston and had her moments of a few flashes in the pan of brilliance, but never really got to break into the team. So now to have her as an attacking flair player for Boston, I think again, great move. In terms of Denver, I absolutely love the Megan Reed signing as well. Like clearly, like that three-fourths of that back line is already set, right?
Yep.
Kurtz, Reed, and Bogalski, like they're clearly going defense first. Abby Smith has been, yeah, serviceable in the league for quite some time. So you go and get a starting caliber goalkeeper, and then yeah, Ali Watt, like you said, the hometown girl, and I mean, yeah, winning a title. That's a title winning player that you're bringing into your team right away to be able to set the standard. Kaylee Kurtz as well. You know, two players who have won at the highest level. So it doesn't get much better than that right off the bat. So I'm excited for expansion, you know, and to see how the rest of these teams are built.
And I
Uh,
think one of my biggest questions now, I feel like, in my opinion, not the height of free agency is over, but like the big signings, the big transactions, a lot of them have happened. We have our first players at expansion teams. Now is when the college girls also really start tuning in here. To my knowledge, we have had three signings for girls directly out of college. We have a player from Washington signed with Kansas City Current. We have a player at Boston College who has signed at Boston Legacy. And then we have a player that played at Butler University that has signed with Gotham. And so that's three. But honestly, those universities right there, I mean, none of them are in your final four. So you still are looking at who from Stanford signing where, who from North Carolina, TCU, Florida State. So I do feel like there is a lot more, but that's the interesting thing. When we have no draft, when we have no things, every team takes this off-season period differently. But also, let's be real, like there's a window of openings. I was looking at it the other day because I'm curious, I'm a stalker and all that stuff. Like Seattle has 24 girls signed for 2026 already. So if you
wow.
assume that none of those girls either, mutually agree to break their contracts or go on loan or whatever happens, that's two spots for every free agent to compete for. Any international player, American-based player, whoever overseas to come back in, and college players, to look at. So other teams are different and have much more openings, but there's definitely a range of where the contract spots are now in the NWSL. And that's the difference between the NWSL now and the NWSL 2-3 years ago was you could bring whoever you wanted into tryouts because contracts, let's be real, you could terminate them at any point. That was like
Wow.
the really terrifying thing of the NWSL was there was no guarantee in contracts. Everything was semi-guaranteed unless you were like one of five players.
Mhm.
So at that point, you're going into preseason not knowing if you really have a contract or not. That's not the case
Crazy.
anymore, which I think is a huge blessing for every player and everyone who lives this lifestyle. But that being said, it does make it harder to crack into the market. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, that's so interesting that you say that. And there's so many great college players. Yeah. Jasmine Akey is going to get signed.
Lisa
Uh,
Evans.
right? Elise Evans, Mia Buta. There's Heather
There's so
Gilchrist
many. We
on.
could just go off a list right now without even, doing any research about who. So yeah, it'll be fascinating to see like how the balance of because this is only the second year. So last year was
Mm,
trial by error, people trying to figure out how to handle the college with no draft. But now there's been a year under. So I think this year will spark the trend of how the college to pro or college to NWSL pipeline is more going to look. And I think that's
mhm,
going to be one of the biggest storylines of this offseason.
mhm, mhm. Great, completely. Definitely want to get to our interview as well. And again, Reyna Reyes of the Portland Thorns, a Mexican international, went to a college cup at Alabama. Basically everywhere that she has been, she has won. I think, yeah, just missing the NWSL title. No, they didn't win the College Cup either, but like she's made history at every stop, as we talk about in the interview with her. Also, get to talk about how she was there. I mean, she played, she was a starter in the game where they beat the United States when Mexico at the Gold Cup. So, a lot of great stuff in this interview, guys. We really hope you enjoy. Here it is.
Reyna, how are you? And how would you say you and the team are feeling heading into the off season?
Um, I'm not gonna say satisfied because there's still much more that we can achieve, but I think really good, especially off of, what we were predicted to finish at the beginning of the year. Finishing third in the bracket and then going to semifinals. I think that is a lot to be proud of, but we still have a lot to build off of, and I'm excited for next year.
So, having had the time to reflect, what would you say is probably how would you sum up this year overall?
Yeah, I mean, we had our ups and downs, like definitely some challenges with like starting the game, the first 15 minutes, things like that, and conceding goals. But I think like towards the end of the season, like we definitely figured that out and we're fixing it. And but yeah, I think too, like we had good moments in the season too where we were having really good build-up moments. Finishing, we struggle at times, but I think every team does. But yeah, I think throughout the season we're learning each other, growing together, and getting more confident as the season went on, and that showed, especially towards the end of season. So
And I think one of the things that most, gets overlooked about the Thorns is just how they're a first-class organization. They've always been one of the best in the league. What is your favorite part about being a part of a team like this and how they've, really brought you in?
yeah, definitely I would have to say number one, the fan base. Literally, there's nowhere else like it, and we've been to every stadium, nowhere else like it. They give us the energy, they give us that belief. You know, during games, home games, we definitely, I would say that we just have like an extra pep in our step when we're at home, and I would say that it has to do a big part with them. So
Yeah, I've actually gotten the chance to go there, and it is like one of the best atmospheres. It feels like Europe almost.
yeah,
Yeah. Something I definitely wanted to ask you, because I've followed your career since you were in college. It really kind of feels like you stepped in, and from day one, you have just seamlessly fit into the team. And like I feel like there's never been an issue at all. Like there's not one thing you could point out where you've been darn near perfect since you've entered the league. How are you so consistent? Because it's almost like Portland Thorns, one of the first names, it's going to be your name on the team sheet.
okay, let's knock on wood. But thank you.
Yeah.
No, I think I wouldn't say it's been perfect, but thank
Mhm.
you. No, I think a huge part of that just has to do with like belief. Number one, belief in myself, but then everyone around me, my family, the fans, they believe in me, and then obviously the coaches and my teammates. So like I think that for me, like when I believe in myself and I know others believe in me, like that gives me everything I need. And like I don't like to say like it's just like easy, but it's like this is the game I grew up playing, loving, knowing. And so like whenever that confidence and that belief is there, then it's just having fun and playing the game I love. And it just kind of like is natural. So that's just how I like to think of it. I try not to put too much on everything.
hmm And that mentality and that desire to kind of just let it go and really just stay focused on the present, where would you say you get that mentality from?
Definitely didn't come easy. I definitely had my mental, ups and downs. And I think just like growing up, maturing, and being at such a high level from a young age, traveling, everything, I think that helped me mature quicker and develop that mental part of the game because there's definitely a huge mental part of the game. But it's just like, it's not like being okay with just anything, but it's like you have to know that like you can only control your controllables. If you do that and you do it at the best of your ability, things are going to come. Good things are going to come. So I think that's just kind of like how I've switched my mindset. So
And it definitely, yeah, it definitely comes through in how you play. And going back to the Thorns, like you said, you feel good about the season getting to a semifinal. What do you guys, what do you think you guys can do as a team to take that next step and really become title contenders next season?
yeah, I mean, it's just so much. It's like I said, just like really controlling our controllables. I think a lot can go on in a single season. We had injuries. We had changes happen within our staff. Like a lot goes on. Control the controllables, but everyone individually keep a good culture on our team and just like, yeah, every game to game, we talk and we build off of it to the next one. I think that's just really what we have to do. And that's what we did this season. We figured it out better and we're going to get more efficient and faster at that. But yeah, I'm excited for next season.
Yeah, I think that it's that continuity with the new manager, right? Where it's like there's been a lot of turnover within the league. It feels like managers, it's
Yeah.
like you never know. And it's like you gotta, how would you say, like having to deal with that? What are the challenges that you have to go through when a new coach comes in, or what is the adjustment
Mhm.
period like?
Yeah, I mean, I guess for everyone individually too, like if you don't know the coach at all or have anything, it's like you're reproving yourself again. And I mean, that's part of the game. It's part of this profession. But yeah, I mean, it's a little hard, knowing that like, okay, now I have to reprove myself all again. And then like, you never know like the type of style they like to play. It's those changes. But I mean, it's part of the game. It could be good, so
It could
we'll
be good, it
see.
could be bad. Yeah, I totally get you. I definitely wanted to also, ask you about your experiences with Mexico and the Mexican national team. How important is it for you to be playing for L3? And you've been a part of the program, since you were young. So kind of watching the growth of it, what has it been like for you to be a part of it?
Yeah, no, it's such an honor and like I'm thankful for it every day. It gives me the opportunity to try and achieve goals that I've dreamed of my whole life, be in a World Cup, be in the Olympics. I've been in the Youth World Cups, made history for the whole women's, yeah, side of Mexico. So yeah, it's such an honor and it's like for me, I'm like, I'm never gonna be satisfied till like I try and make those goals like come to life. And very soon I have that opportunity. So
Yeah. You talked about making history, and I know it was 2024, but I have to ask you, what was it like to beat the United States at the Gold Cup? Because that was, I mean, it's a flagship moment
hmm
for Mexican soccer, I'm sure.
it was. Honestly, it was so surreal. Like again, I felt such a good culture in our locker room building up to that game, our practices, training, just building up to the game. Like I think everyone felt that like positive belief and confidence and like it just showed in the game and like even the goals like they weren't tap-in goals anywhere, they were bangers, so it was really nice. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, I that was one where I was also there for that, and the atmosphere was one of the craziest atmospheres.
Yeah, it
Like
kind of felt like we were in Mexico.
exactly, because it's like both countries are represented within families. So
hmm
nor rather than having away fans and home fans separated, it's everyone together. So everyone's like screaming at each other while the
Yeah.
game is going on. It was truly like family members are like like at each other, one for USA, one for Mexico. So it was truly incredible. Thank you for giving us that moment because it was special. Um, I definitely noticed, with you being a part of it, and you talked about the culture and how you guys built up to that and are still building. What are
Mhm.
some of the changes that the Federation has made for you guys to have that environment? And not just there, but in Liga MX as well, where the women are, playing in front of hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah. No, I definitely think that they they want to get started more earlier and they are they constantly ask us to like what can we do better, for y'all, make y'all feel more comfortable, this, that, better trainings. And so I like that part, like they're, initiating a conversation with the team and everything. But I think too, like one good thing that Mexico and the league are doing is, they're opening up younger teams now for the national team, but then also for the Liga, like they have the system where like they're letting younger girls, they have to like get a certain amount of minutes each season so that they're building the future of Mexico. Yeah, and I think like the Liga has done really well at trying to build that league. The top teams really good. I think what they're working on is trying to make the whole league top level, like the NWSL. I would say is like the evenness within every team. Like you never know who's gonna win. So that's where like I think leagues want to be. So.
And I'm sure, I know you're very, very happy in Portland right now and you're
Mhm.
focused on the Thorns, but would you ever go play in in that league at some point in your career if you got the chance?
I'm not opposed to it.
Yeah.
Not opposed to it. So
Okay, that door is open. You heard it here first, guys. You heard it here first. The door is open. Right. I think switching gears a little bit, I also, like I said, followed you at Alabama, and you guys had a historic year when you guys went to the College Cup, which obviously just wrapped up recently.
mhm.
Talk about that group, that team, and what made it so special for you guys to make history
Yeah.
in getting to that first College Cup.
Truly, I think what made us so special and be the team that we were was the culture that our coach set. Like he has standards for everyone, even like the culture, he would have us over for cookouts at his house. Him and his wife would cook us, not cook us, sorry, cook out. And like, yeah, like, he would had a boat, he just like created a good atmosphere, wanted us, to always hang out, always have fun. But then obviously in training, it was like switch, okay, time to turn on. And he didn't take any, his, like, if it wasn't the standard, like, no, he didn't accept it. So I think like that definitely built over the years. And just that last year when I left, we just like blew every stat out of the park. We broke over 30 records that year for Alabama, made history, and yeah, sad that it ended in the semis, but that's okay.
Hmm. Yeah, it sounds like the common theme for you is making history. You seem to just, whatever team you're on, they're doing something crazy. So
But I
you
want to
want
win
to
the
be,
trophy, so that's
you
next.
want to win the trophy. There we go. Trophies over history. Of course, of
Yes.
course, of course.
Well, you get both.
We get both. So, was there any soccer players who you modeled your game after growing up? Did you have an idol?
Yeah, I think on the male side, Eden Hazard, and
Mm,
then on the female side, I always loved Becky Sauerbrunn
oh,
and
nice.
Megan Rapinoe. I loved their grittiness, like growing up watching them, like, and that's I think one thing that I bring to my game is like the grittiness, and so I like to, mirror that.
And you named some attackers, and you're a defender. So, were you
Yeah,
always a defender? Did you play other positions growing up?
yeah.
Yeah.
But played every position, honestly. Even in college, I played midfield. Sometimes put me at winger, but definitely center back. The whole back line basically. Started out as keeper, but yeah. So,
Wow,
but
really?
I think it was good for me. Gave me a good sense of every position. Probably built my versatility. So I think that's also why I'm like able to play on both sides too. So.
That's awesome. So, have you tried to tell, your coach, like, hey, you can move me up the pitch a little bit more? Like, it's cool.
I'm like, the opportunity's there, but they like me outside back.
Yeah. That's all you say about that.
Yeah.
Got you. Got you. All right. Last question for you, Rita. What is your advice to all the young girls out there looking to fulfill their dreams as a soccer player?
Yeah. Um, I mean, it's pretty simple. It's just don't give up, you know. Um, I don't want to say like the same saying like hard work beats talent and talent doesn't work hard, but it's so true. Like if you just put your head down, stay humble, work hard, like good things will come. And they always will. Like our mindsets are everything. What you set your mind to, you can achieve what you want. So I would just say yeah.
Again, that was Reyna Reyes, defender for the Portland Thorns and the Mexican national team. Uh, yeah, I mean, she is, I think, just one of the more models of consistency in the league. And one of the things I brought up was how, honestly, from the moment she stepped into the Portland team, she's pretty much like, I don't think she's played every game, but she's rarely missed a game. If for injury or for anything else, she is almost always there on the team sheet. Just so consistent. What are your thoughts on Reyna Reyes's game, and as a defender, what do you see from her?
She's one of those players that really made the transition from college to the NWSL at a high in competitive level. Like you said, she's been consistent with her years in the league and, grown from a rookie to a veteran pretty quickly. And that doesn't happen, especially as a defender. It's a rarity. So I think she has like a special finesse to her game, which, every like every player in the league has her thing. And I think her versatility and her consistency is her thing. And so she's been dominant, and I'm excited to see her career to come.
Shout out to Reyna. We, of course, will have plenty more, uh, interviews and stuff. We will have the uh, United Soccer Coaches Convention, which Sam and I are going to be doing in the New Year's. We're going to have a lot of great content for you guys, and we are so excited to bring that to you. Okay, next we move to Europe, and I think we have the Champions League draw along with, yes, we have the knockout stage ready. Here are the matchups. We have Atletico versus Man United, which is a great matchup. Paris FC versus Real Madrid. Um, the North OH, the Louvren, is it the team that I cannot pronounce? And I take so much pride in the pronunciations. I gotta figure it out. Are taking on Arsenal. Wolfsburg are taking on Juventus. And in the quarterfinals, we have the four teams on bye, the four best teams: Barcelona, Chelsea, Lyon, Bayern. So, taking a look at those initial matchups, I would say, honestly, Atletico versus Man United, that is probably the best matchup of the four. They played each other in the opening round as well, and there was an insane moment where I think there was a red card. We had a horrible injury to one of the Atletico players, yet somehow Man United found a way to end up with a draw. Like, it was just an absolutely insane game. So I'm sure it's going to be insane again. What are your thoughts on seeing these initial matchups leading into the quarterfinals?
I agree. I think that game is the one that I have circled, and I think any football, lover should have circled. You have, Fallon Tolstoy, who's worked her way back from injury, and just, I believe, is honestly at the top of her game right now with Man United. And I think them versus Atletico will be a fantastic matchup. Of course, I'm going to give Arsenal the edge over the team from the Netherlands, but I think that's a huge shout out. That's the fun thing about Champions League. Is, let's be real, like, who thought going into this that we'd have a team in the Netherlands in this round, in the knockout round. And so I think, that's really exciting, and exciting to see. And then I think, Real Madrid, I got to give them the edge there against Paris FC. But no, I think it's exciting games. And these are the kinds of games, we talk about the NWSL nonstop. We're US based. Of course, it's right in front of our face, but these are the games where you see superstars everywhere. And you see underdog stories too. And so truly, I think there's going to be fun ones to watch. I think it is the eyes catching thing is you can say Arsenal, winning it all last year, didn't get the bye. Frankly, they didn't earn the bye. So I think there is some, it just shows how competitive it is right now.
Yeah, and I think the biggest surprise of all of them is this Belgian team, Oud Erleveen Leuven. I probably butchered that, but still, were absolutely phenomenal in the group stages, picking up results where they needed to between Valerenga and Twente. I thought at least one of those teams was going to edge it out, but it's Hervely Leuven that is going to make it into the next round, and so that's a historic moment for them. And yep, you get to play the defending champions Arsenal. I have.
Their starting nine, Jada Kohlenberg, played with me in Norrköping from January through July. And then she left when I left in July, and she was one of the ones that scored a goal to tie Twente. So it is really cool just to see like these teams, these underdog stories really performing.
Yeah, it's like I guess that was the whole purpose of opening up the format for this to be able to happen. Because if they were in a group where it was just three teams and you played them twice, I think it would have been a different story altogether. I'm not sure they would have made it out, but this new format has definitely helped them out significantly. And yeah, I mean, Barcelona, of course, still winning, still looking great, but so many injuries, so many questions. Bonmati, unfortunately, a tragic injury. So it's up for grabs. I know Barcelona's still the favorite, and I know Chelsea are going to back themselves, but it is totally open this year, and I cannot wait to see how it unfolds.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Champions League is always a thing to watch. And so that is always when people like when NWSL is on break or you're not watching the Super League or whatever it is, like turn Champions League on, please.
And staying in Europe, the FIFA Best Awards, which the results were announced, and I think the biggest takeaway is what we've always talked about is the bias towards Europeans and and how it'll always be that way, and or at least it seems to be that way. Aitano Bonmati for the third year in a row, best player. I don't think there's much of a dispute there. Serena Weigman, best coach. Again, can't really dispute that one. I think Hannah Hampton very much yes deserving, but I think the year that Anne-Catherine Berger had for Gotham, I think was absolutely phenomenal and up there and just the clutchest of saves. But again, I think NWSL isn't going to get any love here as we continue to go through the list of, the best 11 goalkeeper, Hannah Hampton, defenders, Lucy Bronze, Leah Williamson, Irene Paredes, Anya Battle, midfielders, Aitana Bonmati, Patrick Guajaro, Claudia Pina, just all Barcelona. Forwards, Putellas, Rousseau, Caldente. What do you think about the best
Boy,
11?
here, I agree with you 100%. You have the same point I do, is I do believe Hannah Hampton had a fantastic year, but Berger. And like, I do think Hampton got an edge because England won the Euros. That's my own opinion. Obviously, I don't know. But if you take away club performances, which I know you can't, whatever, and you just focus on international, like the way Berger performed at the Euros was taking.
Mhm.
And so I do believe it's a close battle. Hampton, nothing to discredit her. She was phenomenal this year for club and country. And that's probably why they do get the edge, because we don't value the NWSL. We've talked about this plenty of times.
Mhm.
And that's how she gets an edge. But I think, I hate co-awards, but like this could be a case for it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, agreed. I think it's definitely something that they could have considered. I think, it's national team captains, national team coaches, journalists, and fan voters for these awards. So it sounds like it's pretty spread out.
Yeah.
That's what bothers me. I guess it's because they are in part of the thing that I think we have to consider is the time difference and the fact that they are ahead of us. These people are not exactly going to stay up to watch the NWSL, right?
So it's also not easy. Like
Right.
from someone who was in Sweden, it
Right.
is extremely hard to find NWSL matches without using a VPN and also having an Amazon account and also having YouTube TV. Like
Yeah.
it is hard to find NWSL in
Yeah.
Europe.
Yeah, so maybe we need to not be as as harsh towards them, but it's like
I
it
can
is
still be
part.
better.
Yeah,
Look at
yeah,
her highlight reel.
right. Like it's still part of your job to look at everybody. Like you can't just discredit them just because you're not able to watch them. Like that's a part of your job as at least a journalist, at least the journalists and the fans. Like the players, okay, fine. Like you're busy, but like for journalists and for fans, like come on. Like we don't have to be this biased. It's kind of crazy. I mean, I'm trying to think like at least Lindsay Heaps, at least like
American that's at least playing in Europe.
right.
Like,
Yeah, she's playing in Europe. Naomi Gerba, like
yeah.
come on. Well, I guess Naomi was
Yeah, you could
hurt.
say Naomi was injured.
Yeah.
I can,
Yeah.
okay, fine. But yeah, how are we not including Heaps in this?
Yeah. And no, I guess I'm surprised I didn't even see a French player either.
Yeah.
That really tells you that they went full just based on the results of the Euros because like not have like a Cascarino or anyone else like that in this team simply because yes, Spain and England. But I'm also interested like the voting did like when the national team captains vote like what if they're all just voting for each other and that's muddying up the vote right like
Exactly.
it's like
Exactly.
should they be allowed like I don't understand they're just gonna vote for each other
Is there
so
like a
it's
weight system here? Like, does
right
one national team captain vote cancel out like 40 fan vote? Yeah, no. I want the
right
algorithm. I want to know how this works.
yeah yeah because it's getting out of control man like they're never gonna fix it they're never gonna give the NWSL the respect man so um yeah, it is what it is. But I mean, congrats, of course, to all these incredible players because they are still obviously special. Um, but it's like Lucy Bronze making it. I mean, I think this is like the eighth time she has made the best 11. Like it's a record for her and it's incredible. But I'm like, was she really the best left, like, was she really the best wingback in the world for the entire year? I don't know. I really don't. So, yeah, it is what it is. Uh, Congrats, of course, for to all of these players, but we would love to see some more Americans in there in the future at some point.
It's starting fine.
Yeah. All right, so we are getting towards the end here, and I don't think we're going to be able to fit in another episode before the new year ends. So, as we kind of do like a year end thing, what would you say was your biggest soccer moment of the year?
That is such a hard question, especially because if you look at the year I have had in the nicest way possible, 2025 was insane in great ways, but I'd love for 2026 to be a little bit more chill. And personally, if I could just like request that, I would say there's two moments that jump out at me though. I have a video of me and my husband, like I recorded it when I signed my first NWSL contract, and that just really like that's accumulation of years of this dream. But to go off of that, I think my first start,
Hmm.
walking on the field, standing next to Sam Stop, Alyssa Nair, mainly because my number is number two. Like literally, but I was there. Standing next to them, Audi Arena or Audi Stadium we were playing at. I believe it was like 16,000 people, one of the biggest crowds I'd ever played in front of. I'm starting and marking Trinity Rodman. Like that moment of just stepping onto that field and doing like, holy, you made it, kid. Like
Uh-huh.
that feeling, like that has to be the highlight of the year for me.
That's so amazing. I'm so happy for you. And yeah, that was like, I can't even imagine what that must have felt like for you and for Trey. So yeah, congrats to both of you and to Petunia now. She's part of the family now. Uh, I guess for me, I would say, um, thinking about it, like this is the first year we've gotten to do this together. Just amazing that we've been able to do this, and like just the fact that you wanted to do this with me, and uh it just we've always gotten along. We're on the same wavelength a lot of the time. We both know our stuff. So it's been great to work with you this past year, and this is a big moment, for me to have you on. Like for me to be able to say like my co-host is a pro soccer player and it's you, like it just it's all it means everything to me. So it like thank you for, doing this with me, and excited for what we have to do, next year in 2026 together. It's going to be awesome.
Not Ro making me cry to end out 2025. Yo. Um, no, I agree. And I'm so thankful for all the listeners who have welcomed me on here, who let me hang out with Ro. I mean, let's be real, like we can have these conversations whether we're recording them or not. So
Hmm.
these are the conversations I love to have with you. So I agree. It's been a great 2025. It's been a crazy 2025. It's been a great 2025. And let's just say I can't wait for more in 2026. Some big things ahead for both Girls Soccer Network, for Give and Go, big activities that we will be announcing soon, things that we'll be attending. So thankful for everyone who listens. So thankful for Euro. So thankful for Girls Soccer Network and everything they do for us. And yeah, here's to 2026.
All right. Thank you all for joining us again. For all the latest and greatest, go to www.girlsoccernetwork.com, at Girl Soccer Network on Instagram. If you want to get in touch with either one of us, Sam is Sam Angel on Instagram. I am Rowan Datas 25, Rowindatas 25. And yeah, that is all that we have. 85 episodes. Man, I can't believe we're up to 85 and we're approaching that 100, that century mark. I can't believe it. Oh man, this is amazing. Thank you so much, Sam, and thank you to everyone listening. We will see you guys next time. Thank you.
See you next year.